Well, I mean, we have some of the really great heroes. You know, Raul Castro was
Yeah.
the first Betelito, and he was a prophetic figure, but he was a gang leader and a tough guy. One of the most brilliant, wisest men I've ever met. 8 years of education. He became a very effective, you know, preacher and minister.
He was almost like your version of Nicky Cruz.
Yeah, he was our Nicky Cruz.
Yeah.
He was our Nicky Cruz. Just Raul Castro. When people in the early years had AIDS, we let them minister even up until death. Even if they had to sit in a chair on the platform and preach in a chair, and many had to do that. Hambre, our director of Betel of Italy, he ran Betel out of a hospital room up until his death. But Raul Castro, at the end of his life, he was in a room in Madrid, in a hospital room, and just about dead. We were gathered around his bed. He takes his oxygen mask off, and he looks at everyone, and he says, "If we do not surrender, we'll conquer," and puts it back on. Those are the kind of people we had. Yeah. Absolutely amazing people. Javi, who is still alive today, those that got the new, you know, antiviral drugs survived. Some of them. He's one of our older people who survived. He's our senior pastor in Madrid. We were buying a headquarters way back when we made our bid for the big headquarters we have, and we bought it from the largest bottler in the nation, the Casera people. And we got all dressed up in our ties and jackets, went down to the center of Madrid, parked under the Plaza de Colón parking area, took the tunnel under the Paseo de Castellana, the Park Avenue of Madrid, and we're going to give them a €3.5 million offer for their old factory, for our building. And suddenly Javi cries out in the middle of the tunnel. He says, "Stop, stop." I said, "What's happened?" He said, "I used to live here. I used to sleep under cardboard here in that drain, in this tunnel." And he takes the letter out of his face. He says, "And now we're buying the Casera building?" He says, "How my life has changed." Mm. So.
Oh. Why don't we just run a little video here? We got a shot, I think, of the center. There it is. Is that the old bottling center?
Well, no, that's even that's the new headquarters.
Okay, and the huge congregation.
Yeah.
And who are we looking at here?
That's Betel of Italy,
Mm-hmm.
Betel of New York. My son is director of Betel of New York. And that would be one of Betel of India's homes.
All right.
Betel of Almeria in the Mediterranean, the Betel Madrid theater team. Huh. He's a Russian Betelito, right there.
Really?
The big guy.
Right out on the street.
Javi's the fellow on the right there. You can
now,
see.
let's just stop on this picture for a minute. The average congregation in Spain is what, 50 people?
50 people.
And you've got what, about 1,000?
Yeah.
This is a real anomaly.
It is an anomaly. Up until the last, 5-10 years, before the Latin immigration started to pour into Spain, the average church was 30 or 40 people. And the only one, when we arrived in 1983, 0.1% of Spain was evangelical. Today, maybe 0.5% is evangelical. Mm. And it's a post-Christian nation. Maybe 80% would call themselves Catholics. And then of those 80% of Catholics, only 10-15% might attend the Catholic Church. It's typical of Europe, typical of the Western civilization.
Mm. Now, of that congregation of 800 to 1,000 people, what percentage of them would have come to you off the street? What percentage of them would have been marginalized at one point in their lives?
We have about 2,400 people living in Betel homes right now. In the Madrid community, you have about 220, 230 people. So you would only have about 220 people would be in the Betel rehab community. Right. But then we have graduates. See, so we win the attic, then we win their families. And we're still a parachurch ministry also. Most people go back to their home city, their hometown, family, the church that sent them to us. But some choose to stay, some come from Madrid. Their family members attend with them. And then I'd say probably half the people are non-related to the center now. We're getting doctors, lawyers, professional people. People have nothing to do with drugs want to be part of Betel. Hmm. But still, about 220 would be in the center. Maybe another 200 or 300 would be family members, and then other unrelated people.
What are the challenges of success? I understand the challenges of pioneering, the challenges of grinding it out in the initial stages. But what about the challenges of success? What are the dangers that success brings?
One phrase that I keep in my heart is the most important thing is that the most important thing remains the most important thing. And you have to stay humble, you have to stay focused on Christ and eternity. You don't pay much attention to success, don't pay much attention to public ministry. My wife, just 15 months ago, had a very serious brain tumor removed. She almost died. And for the last 15 months, I have not ministered publicly. This is really the first trip I've taken separate from my wife in 15 months.
That's Mary there.
Mary, yeah. She's recovered. She has still some aphasia, has her wisdom and her intelligence. She's still fragile and emotionally delicate. But I would travel to 2 nations every month. I'd be 20-some trips a year, and I'd be ministering all over the place and invited to conferences and just supervising the Betel family in over 80 centers around the world. But in the last year, I've had to sit down, take care of my wife, and what pleases God is being faithful to Him. It's not being on television, it's not being in a big pulpit, it's doing what's right. Because you have to give account one day, stand before God, and He can sort through all the chaff.
Yeah. How many years have you been in the ministry now?
Since 1973.
Any regrets?
No regrets at all.
No.
No.
What do you see in the future?
Well, I'd like to minister until I die. I want to stay active. We're less executive now. We're more like fathers. We're supervisors. We still have an executive role with international directors and senior pastors in the Madrid church. But I want to keep preaching the gospel as long as I have strength. I was invited to the Fathers of the Faith conference in Mexico 2 years ago, and I was the youngest father of the faith they considered. I was 62 then. I'll be 64 in August. And Wayne Myers, who was the great, senior missionary of Mexico. I don't know if you know Wayne Myers from Christ for Nations. He's probably about 88 now, 89. He spoke a powerful message, and afterwards they said, "Let's pray for Brother Myers." He said, "Oh Lord, bless Brother Myers. Give him 10 more years of ministry." Minister, and he shouted, "Stop! Don't pray that prayer. Don't put limits on God." So I'd like to minister.
Well, as you may know, in Hebrew we say when someone's having a birthday, "Ad mea vesrim," which means to 120, like Moses. Maybe you'll reach 122. Do you have children?
Yes, I have 4 sons.
4 sons, and what are they up to? How are they doing?
Well, one son is in heaven. We almost all died in a tragic car accident in 1991. Timothy died at 10. We always survived. Our son David is the director of Betel of America. All of our sons are very distinguished. All have graduated from Oxford University, multiple degrees. David was a Johnson Scholar. Our son Jonathan was a Rhodes Scholar, and he is a businessman in London. He's the founder of Domotix.com, DOMOTIX.com. It's a new news service. Our son Peter is a West Point graduate, and he's now the chaplain of Oxford University. He's one of the pastors at St. Aldate's at Oxford. All our boys are in the ministry. Jonathan is a businessman, but he's the trustee of Betel of Britain. We're very proud of him. They've distinguished themselves, and we didn't destroy their lives going as faith missionaries to Mexico with no money and no anything.
As my dad taught me years ago, the Lord is first. Your wife is second, your kids are third, and your ministry is fourth.
Right.
You keep those priorities, and things should work out pretty well.
Absolutely.
What's your website?
Betel.org, Betel.org. It's like Bethel without the H.
Right, Betel.org. You can find out more about our guest, Elliot. He has a long way to go yet, as he's already said, but he's really accomplished a major ministry over the last several years. And we wish you Godspeed in all that you do.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming our way.
God bless you.
And you.